Professional-looking, "Restore Our Community's Dignity" flyers appeared in mailboxes. Team Flamingo responded with T-shirts reading, "Stand Tall" and "Pink." The flamingo itself seemed to mock their efforts, its shadow deliberately falling across Cynthia's prize-winning hydrangeas each afternoon. The situation escalated when Channel 7's Action News van arrived. Reporter Valerie Chen approached Marcus's door with a cameraman in tow. "We're doing a special segment called David vs. Goliath, the Flamingo Rebellion. Would you care to comment on your stance against HOA tyranny?" The 6-minute feature aired during prime time. By morning, tourist buses had added Sunny Pines to their routes. Cynthia's cease and desist letter arrived by certified mail, looking suspiciously tear-stained. Marcus framed it. On day 23 of the Flamingo occupation, Marcus found a cream-colored envelope in his mailbox, noticeably different from the stark white violation notices. The letterhead read "Invitation to Community Reconciliation Dialogue," with the meeting time embossed in tasteful gold lettering. The community center overflowed an hour before the scheduled start. Residents who had never attended an HOA meeting appeared in force, many wearing subtle pink accessories. Fire codes were violated as people crammed into every available space. The fire marshal himself squeezed in, wearing a suspicious pink tie. Cynthia entered through a side door, escorted by her 3 board members. Her power suit remained beige, but observers noted her lipstick had shifted from nude to a color that could, under certain lighting, be interpreted as the palest pink. "This special session will address the unusual situation on Mockingbird Lane," she began, her voice lacking its usual imperious tone. Dark circles beneath her eyes suggested sleep had become elusive since the Flamingo arrived. "Our lawyers have advised that our current bylaws do not explicitly prohibit temporary inflatable decorations of excessive size." A cheer erupted from the back rows. "However," she continued, raising her voice, "the spirit of our community guidelines clearly indicates the spirit needs revival," called Mrs. Abernathy, brandishing her flamingo-top cane. After 30 minutes of heated debate, Cynthia raised her hand for silence. Through what appeared to be physically painful effort, she forced out words that had clearly been rehearsed. "The board proposes the following compromise. We will revise our color guidelines to include an expanded palette of 24 approved colors for backyard fixtures. Additionally, we will establish a resident-led committee to review and modernize outdated HOA rules on a quarterly basis." She paused, swallowing hard. "In exchange, Mr. Henderson will remove the pink visitor within 30 days. Marcus stood. The room hushed. "I accept these terms," he said, triggering a wave of applause. "With one condition." Cynthia's eye twitched. "Which is?" "I'll serve as co-chair of the new committee." The room erupted. Someone popped a bottle of champagne. The fire marshal pretended not to notice. 30 days later, Marcus hosted a Flamingo farewell party. Neighbors signed the deflating pink monument with Sharpies before it was ceremonially folded. True to his word, Marcus removed the inflatable, but its severed head found permanent residence atop his garden wall, beak pointed directly at Cynthia's house. The first meeting of the new HOA Guidelines Committee approved teal as an acceptable umbrella color by unanimous vote. Cynthia, serving reluctantly as co-chair, seconded the motion herself. Their detente evolved into a grudging mutual respect. During her morning power walks, Cynthia now nodded curtly at Marcus, rather than documenting infractions. For his part, Marcus kept his yard impeccable, save for the flamingo head, which technically violated no bylaws. On the 1-year anniversary of the standoff, Sunny Pines residents awoke to find small plastic flamingos on each lawn, one per household, all precisely the same size, all facing the HOA office. Security cameras mysteriously malfunctioned that night, but witnesses reported seeing Mrs. Abernathy's mobility scooter moving at unusual speed through the neighborhood, trailing pink. The flamingos reappeared each year thereafter, a reminder that in the beige conformity of suburban life, sometimes it takes 20 feet of shocking pink to bring about reasonable change. Marcus Henderson's morning routine shattered when a pristine white envelope slid under his door with the dreaded gold embossed letters. HOA notice of violation. The coffee mug nearly slipped from his fingers. Not again, he muttered, though in truth, this was his first offense in 5 years at Sunny Pines Estates, a neighborhood where conformity was less a suggestion and more a religion. Each house reflected the next in varying shades of approved beige, like soldiers lined up for inspection. Marcus, a 42-year-old graphic designer whose clients valued his bold vision, had made only one personal statement in this desert of beige, a vibrant teal pool umbrella that transformed his backyard into an oasis. Last month's design magazine had even featured it in a spread called Pockets of Personality. He tore open the envelope. The letter inside was typed in aggressive Arial bold. His umbrella flagrantly violated Section 7.3. All external fixtures must adhere to the approved color palette, beige, tan, or taupe. At the bottom, Cynthia Weatherby had signed with a flourish that took up half the page, adding a handwritten note. 72 hours to comply or face $100 daily fines. Rules exist for a reason, Mr. Henderson. Through his kitchen window, Marcus spotted Cynthia herself, power walking past his house in her matching taupe tracksuit, slowing just enough to peer over his fence at the offending umbrella. Their eyes met. She offered a smile that never reached her eyes before continuing her patrol. Marcus crushed the letter in his fist. He'd purchased the house after his divorce, specifically because of the backyard, a modest sanctuary where he could escape client demands and the corporate design world's safer is better mentality. The umbrella had been his first act of rebellion, a $350 statement that this small patch of earth was his kingdom. He poured himself another coffee and stepped onto his back patio, the terracotta tiles warm beneath his bare feet. The offending umbrella cast a cool teal shadow across his breakfast nook. It matched the tranquil water of his plunge pool, a renovation that had required 17 separate HOA approval forms and 3 board meetings to finalize, despite being completely hidden from street view. His phone buzzed. A text from his neighbor Tom. Saw Cynthia prowling. You in trouble. Marcus snapped a photo of the crumpled violation notice and sent it. Tom's response came immediately. The umbrella? Seriously? That's ridiculous. Apparently, I'm destroying property values one color at a time. Marcus typed back. She's on a power trip since getting re-elected last month. Walter from number 42 got cited for having wind chimes that exceeded the decibel limit. She actually brought a meter to measure. Marcus sighed. The HOA had been a necessary evil when he purchased the property. His real estate agent had assured him they merely existed to prevent truly egregious violations: cars on blocks, unmowed lawns, houses painted neon green. No one had mentioned the 20-page color palette restrictions or the quarterly aesthetic inspection rounds. He smoothed out the letter on the patio table. 3 days to comply or face fines that would quickly exceed the cost of the umbrella itself. Marcus ran his design studio from home. Cash flow was good, but not unlimited. Fighting this could get expensive fast. You could just buy a beige umbrella, a small practical voice in his head suggested. And let the beige win, he muttered to himself, sipping his now lukewarm coffee. The local garden center would have suitable replacements. He could be in compliance by lunchtime with minimal fuss. The rational choice was clear. But as Marcus stared at Cynthia's imperious signature, something hardened inside him. The umbrella wasn't just an umbrella anymore. It represented something more vital. It was about autonomy, about carving out one small space of joy and color in an increasingly regulated world. His phone rang, a client calling about a logo revision. Hey Janet, he answered, still watching a cardinal perch defiantly on his forbidden teal umbrella. No, that shade of blue won't work. The whole point is to stand out, not blend in. As he spoke, an idea began forming, nebulous at first, then crystallizing with alarming clarity. He wouldn't just comply with the HOA demands. If Cynthia Weatherby wanted conformity, he would give her something she'd never forget. Actually, Janet, he said, a smile spreading across his face, Sometimes you need to go bigger and bolder to make your point. Let me show you what I mean. I just need 5 minutes to present my case, Marcus told the stone-faced receptionist at the HOA office, clutching a meticulously prepared presentation folder. He'd spent his lunch break photographing 7 distinct violations in the neighborhood that had somehow escaped Cynthia's all-seeing gaze. The emergency hearing was scheduled for 7 p.m. Thursday in the Antiseptic Community Center. Marcus arrived early, rehearsing his points while neighbors trickled in, curious about the drama. Mrs. Abernathy, an 80-year-old widow whose pink roses had once triggered a month-long HOA battle, gave him a secret thumbs up. The board recognizes Marcus Henderson, addressing violation number 237B, announced Cynthia, her perfectly highlighted bob gleaming under fluorescent lights. She sat center at a long table, flanked by her loyal lieutenants, retired dentist Walter Pierce, former high school vice principal Eleanor Simmons, and Phil Greenberg, whose only qualifications seemed to be agreeing with Cynthia. Marcus presented his evidence with the polish of a courtroom attorney. The Johnsons' purple playground has stood for 2 years without citation, he noted, clicking through his slideshow. Dr. Peterson's satellite dish exceeds height regulations by 11 inches. And let's discuss the 7 garden gnomes on the Miller's property, none in approved colors. Cynthia's smile tightened. Those situations are different. How exactly? Marcus pressed. The Johnsons have triplets. Cynthia sniffed. Medical exceptions were made. For the color purple? The crowd tittered. Cynthia's knuckles widened around her gavel. Motion to uphold the violation, she snapped. 3 hands shot up in perfect synchronization. Later that night, Marcus sat beneath his condemned umbrella, the evening breeze carrying the scent of his neighbor's unauthorized jasmine. His phone buzzed with sympathetic texts from witnesses to his public execution. One message contained a link. Thought this might interest you. He clicked, nearly spitting out his beer at the image that loaded. A going-out-of-business sale at Party Warehouse featured a massive 20-foot inflatable flamingo, marked down 75%. The description read, "Be the talk of your neighborhood." Marcus smiled for the first time that day. "Oh, Cynthia," he whispered, hitting the Buy Now button. "You have no idea." At 3 a.m., illuminated only by his laptop's glow, Marcus finished his 13th read-through of the entire 47-page HOA rulebook. His eyes burned, but his face glowed with triumph. Section after section detailed regulations on permanent structures, fabric colors, acceptable umbrella dimensions, and even the precise height of garden gnomes, no taller than 12 inches. But on the subject of temporary inflatable decorations, absolute silence. The legal loophole gaped wide enough to drive a truck through, or more specifically, a delivery truck bearing a 20-foot inflatable flamingo. At precisely 8:15 am, Marcus ceremoniously removed his teal umbrella, timing it perfectly with Cynthia's morning power walk. She slowed, observing his compliance with undisguised satisfaction. "Beautiful morning for following rules, isn't it, Mr. Henderson?" she called over the fence. Marcus smiled enigmatically. "Oh, absolutely stunning, Cynthia. A perfect day for new beginnings." Her suspicious frown followed him as he retreated indoors to await his delivery. The Party Warehouse truck arrived at 2:37 p.m., wheezing up the pristine street like a circus had come to town. 2 tattooed delivery men with sleeve tattoos and matching bewildered expressions helped Marcus unbox what looked like a deflated pink monster. "You sure about this, buddy?" asked the taller one, glancing nervously at the uniform houses surrounding them. "More certain than I've ever been about anything," Marcus replied, connecting the industrial-strength air pump. The flamingo awakened slowly, its pink form gradually stretching skyward like some ancient deity rising from slumber. The massive neck unfurled last, curving majestically toward the heavens until its beady plastic eyes peered over rooftops. Visible from 3 streets away, it cast a salmon-colored shadow across half of Marcus's yard, providing, he noted with satisfaction, 40% more shade than his former umbrella. Marcus set up his workstation beneath the flamingo's protective curve, positioning his webcam to ensure clients would see his magnificent shade provider during video calls. By 4 p.m., traffic on his typically quiet street had increased 500%. Cars slowed to a crawl, phones emerged to capture the spectacle. Mrs. Abernathy hobbled over with her walker just to cackle gleefully beneath it. "It's hideous," she proclaimed with deep satisfaction. "Absolutely hideous. Cynthia will have an aneurysm." As if summoned by the utterance of her name, a beige sedan screeched to a halt in front of Marcus's house. Cynthia emerged, sunglasses failing to hide her rapidly reddening face as she stared upward, mouth agape. Marcus waved cheerfully. "Don't worry, it's not an umbrella." "Mom, please can we drive by the Flamingo house again?" became the battle cry of every child within a 10-mile radius. The corner store sold out of disposable cameras. Teenagers designated it as the flaming point in text messages arranging meetups. 3 wedding parties diverted their photo shoots to include the garish landmark. Sunny Pines Estates, once notable only for its lack of notability, had become a destination. The neighborhood transformed overnight into 2 distinct camps. Team Flamingo launched first, with secret handshakes involving flapping arms. Marcus found anonymous gifts on his doorstep: flamingo-shaped cookies, a pink bird bath, cocktail stirrers topped with miniature flamingos, and a doormat reading, "Flock off." Mrs. Abernathy knitted him a flamingo tea cozy, presenting it with the sullen gravitas of a military medal. Team HOA countered by wearing beige armbands at emergency meetings. Cynthia, her highlighted bob increasingly disheveled, presided over nightly strategy sessions. Marcus's neighbor Craig reported the war room atmosphere with glee. "They've got 3 lawyers on speakerphone and the rulebook projected on a screen," he whispered during a clandestine driveway meeting. Phil suggested they create a new rule, but Cynthia screamed that retroactive enforcement would never hold up in court.